Chapter 6 in the .9. Please highlight and tab Chapter 6 in your handbooks. Chapter 6 continues with the shot process breakdown, even further in stability. In stability, it covers support, muscle relaxation, natural point of aim, recoil management, shooter gun angle, field of view, carry positions, stabilized firing, and firing positions. Again, soldiers and leaders, this is where you will need to understand where your deficiencies are in your shot process and what needs to be heightened for you in order to pass the IWQ and shoot competitively. For myself, this is myself and we are all different shooters. I have asterisked what is most important to me during my stability process of my shot process. The more asterisks, the more important. Coming from most important to least important, because they are all important except for carry positions, and I won't get into that, because we should carry our weapon systems per guidance at the unit level for your SOP while you're on the range. If your unit runs a hot range where you are carrying your weapon systems, good. If it is a cold range, that is up to your unit and the risk that is assumed at the commander's level. For myself in stability, most asterisk for me is the natural point of aim, ensuring that I am not using my body to manipulate the weapon system where I want it to be placed downrange. I am shifting my body while letting the weapon system stay still in the middle of my lane for the IWQ. Second most important would be support, recoil management, ensuring I am digging into the gun. I have good solid control. These weapon systems can fire one MOA. Most of these weapon systems are able to shoot 1 minute of angle. The Army minimum standard is 6 minutes of angle, 4 minutes preferred. They can fire 1 minute of angle if they are viced in a mechanical, secured, non-human aired testing environment. We as shooters and leaders and soldiers need to think of when we're shooting, creating a vice with what we have, which is our bodies and the environment and the barricade for the IWQ. Just as in climbing or a vehicle, more points of contact and lower to the ground, the more stable we will be with these weapon systems. When I get behind the weapon system, Sergeant Fulmer will now demonstrate how hard his body is fighting the recoil management as to ensure that his optic has the least amount of movement possible.
If you have your soldier and they're ready and you put a coin on their barrel and they do not have good positioning and good trigger control, what you're going to see is once they engage, that coin is going to fall off because they are not having smooth trigger pull or good breathing tactics. So go ahead and fire around. And that one was probably trigger pull because it pulled off and he pulled the rifle to the right, so the coin fell off to the left.
The next most important for me would be stabilized firing. We are now firing in the IWQ from multiple firing positions. As such, we need to ensure we are stable during these fire positions. Firing positions is also asterisk because, as said before, you will be moving on your own to the next firing position for the tables of the IWQ. Moving down least important for me with one asterisk, and this is mine, again, this is mine, maybe not what is important to you and your soldiers, would be muscle relaxation, my shooter gun angle, my field of view. Those are all variables that are subject to change on the IWQ. Barricades. Ensuring that we are as leaders taking this information back to the unit level in order to properly run an IWQ following the mandatory requirements outlined in the .40, we will now watch some subject matter experts talk about how to utilize the barricade properly.
Hello, I am Sergeant First Class Kenneth Rose. Welcome to Shooter's Corner. Welcome back to Shooter's Corner. I'm Staff Sergeant McElroy. Today, my assistant instructor will be Sergeant Bud. Today, we'd like to introduce you to barricades. In earlier episodes, we introduced you to the kneeling, the standing, and the prone position, the three basic positions we use when firing a rifle. Today we're going to add in barricades. Some simple rules when shooting barricades. First, always get straight back behind the rifle and achieve natural point of aim. Secondly, get as many points of contact as possible while firing from a barricade or an alternate shooting position. A great instructor once told me if I could find 2 points of contact, I could find 3. If I could find 3, I could find 4, and so on. Also, the closer to the ground you get as possible will help steady up that position. Thirdly, I'd also like to maintain barrel awareness. Not the same as muzzle awareness, but I don't want to rest my barrel on hard surface. Make sure you rest the rifle on the handguard when firing from a barricade. We use a simple wall like this to train alternate firing positions that we might see in the environment. Obviously, you're probably not going to see a 4x8 piece of plywood out in combat or on a range, but for training scenarios, we use it to replicate what we might actually see overseas. The way we like to train it here at the unit is by dry firing it. We'll get back from PT, we'll set up some barricades, set up a dry fire target downrange, and the shooter can go through it, checking his position in different ways. Go for it. While he's dry firing, he's trying to minimize sight movement through fine trigger control. Now let's talk about some of the finer coaching points of shooting off a barricade and some of the common errors we see as instructors. First, let's take a look at this shooter's position. He's bladed off from the rifle, meaning he's not directly behind it. If he's not directly behind the rifle, he's not going to be able to control recoil as well. And chances are when the gun recoils, it's not going to end up back on target. I'm going to ask him to go ahead and shift to get his body more directly behind the gun. This will help control recoil and also ensure he has a better natural point of aim onto the target. Secondly, look at where the hand is placed on the barricade. He's got a pretty usable corner up there. If he slides that weapon over into the corner of the barricade, he can almost weld that weapon into the barricade, making it even more stable shooting position. Now we're going to move to the kneeling position. Kneeling firing off a barricade. First, we told you to use the base fundamentals of those 3 initial firing positions we taught you as the foundation when shooting off a barricade. With some minor tweaks, they're still pretty good. First off, let's see what's supporting this rifle. Right now, he's resting the barrel on the barricade. He has hard-to-hard contact with the barrel. Almost guaranteed there's going to be some deviation in zero. Basically, whichever way the barrel's pointing or gets pushed, that bullet's going to go that direction. If he fired right now, chances are he's going to miss high above the target at 200 meters. So let's go ahead and use the handguard to rest on the barricade. Once again, he's using that weld technique to form a good stable position in the barricade. Now let's take a look at his knees. If this was an unsupported firing position, it would actually be pretty good. But let's think about getting as many points of contact with the weapon as possible. I'm going to ask him to shift his firing knee down to the ground, lifting up his non-firing knee. Now what this does is put solid support underneath his non-firing side elbow, almost like stacking up a game of Jenga. Now he's got bone-to-bone contact all the way through the heel, the knee, the elbow, right to the rifle. So after working on the simple barricade design, let's move over onto some other barricades. Some more common ones you might see, like a Humvee door. Good hits. Sergeant Bud, let's go ahead and try out the barrel. When shooting over barricades that might have some extra cover out in front of it, make sure you've got clearance for the bullet to actually get down to the target. Let's try out the low wall. Sergeant Bud's also going to get as low as possible to reduce his target profile. This was Shooter's Corner. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.